Okay. Oh, you're here. Sadhu. Sadhu, sadhu. Vedas personified. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Gopi Janabadaba Girivadanati Gopi Janabadaba Girivadanati Yasodhanandana Prajajanandana Sodhanandana Prajajanandana Unateva Manachave Yamunateva Manachave Jaya Anuma Bhuma Kunjabihare Jaya Anuma Bhuma Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Paramahansa Paramahansa Ostuteda Sadashi Shimad, His Divine Grace Abhaya Jananad, Prananda, Goswami Srila Prabhupada Jai. ISKCON, Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Jai. Anantakoti, Vaishnav Vrindigajai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur. Friends, say Gaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Sripasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrindigajai Sri Radha Krishna Gopavana Sai Makunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Ki Jai Maturadam Ki Jai Jagat Goswami Ki Jai Yuvanamai Ki Jai Shrimati Vilasa Devi Ki Jai Sripadamakunda Ki Jai Gold Premananda Haribol, all glories to the Sambhava devotees. All glories to the Sambhava devotees. All glories to the Sambhava devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya. Udale Shivani Bhaktivedanta Samaniti Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pachani. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Kwasyashadeshitani. So today we're reading from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 80th chapter, text 5. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sukho Vacha Vishnu Ratena Samprishto Bhagavan Padarayane Vasudeve Bhagavate Nibhakta Hridayo Abhravit Sutto Vacha Vishnu Ratena Samprishto Bhagavan Badarayane Vasudeve Bhagavate Nibhakta Hridayo Abhravit Sutto Vacha Vishnu Ratena Samprishto Bhagavan Badarayane Vasudeve Bhagavate Nibhakta Hridayo Abhravit Sutto Vacha Vishnu Ratena Samprishto Bhagavan Badarayane Vasudeve Bhagavate Nibhakta Hridayo Abhravit. Okay.
Sutto Vacha Vishnu Ratena Samprishto Bhagavan Badrayani Vasudeva Bhagavati Nimagna Hridaya Abhravit.
Sutto Vacha Vishnu Ratena Samprishto Bhagavan Badrayani Vasudeva Bhagavati Nimagna Hridaya Abhravit. Sutto Vacha Vishnu
Ladies? Alright. Sutta Vacha. Sutta Goswami said. Vishnu Raktena. By Vishnu Rata Maharaj prediction. Sambrishta. Well questioned. Bhagavan, the powerful sage. Padarayani, Shukadeva. Vasudeva, in Lord Vasudeva. Bhagavati, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Imagna, fully absorbed. Videha, his heart. Abravid, he spoke. So translation, Sutta Goswami said, thus questioned by King Vishnu Rata, the powerful sage Padarayani replied, his heart fully absorbed in meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. So there's no purport here, but we can actually speak about this verse. So let me again repeat the Sanskrit. Sutta Vacha Vishnu Rate Nasampusko Bhagavati Bhagavani Vasudeva Bhagavati Nimagna Vidyo Ralit. So, Om Ganat Chimarandasya, Gananjana Shvakaya Chakshu, Unmeritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, it's very interesting, first of all, how Maharaj's prediction is referred to in this particular verse. He's referred to as Vishnu Rata. So, for those of you who don't know what that means, someone who's protected, maintained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, why is he referred to in that way? Because he was saved by Krishna when he was in the womb of his mother, Uttara. I think you all know that story from the Mahabharata, where we have Ashwatthama, the unworthy son of Dronacharya, and Ashwatthama really was angry at the Pandavas. In fact, before he tried to kill Maharaj Pariksit, he actually killed the other sons, the 5 sons of the Pandavas, and he killed so many of the soldiers in the battle. After the battle, it was actually after the battle of Kurukshetra, he snuck into the camp of the Pandavas when the Pandavas were away, and he basically slaughtered everybody in that camp. He actually thought that he was killing the 5 Pandavas, but actually he didn't kill the 5 Pandavas. He killed the sons of the Pandavas under control. And then when he brought the heads of those 5 sons of the Pandavas to Duryodhana, who was lying there with his thighs broken, Duryodhana, Prabhupada told the story, Duryodhana touched the heads to see it was actually the Pandavas, and the heads collapsed. Somehow or other they collapsed. And then he understood it wasn't the Pandavas, and Duryodhana was actually upset at that time with Ashwatthama, because he understood there would be no descendants of his dynasty. So even in spite of being a big demon, he was concerned with the dynasty, that the Kuru dynasty, the dynasty would continue. So anyway, so then Ashwatthama did more horrible things. And one of the horrible things he did was try to get rid of the last person in the Kuru dynasty, which was Parikshit, who was lying within the womb of his Uttara, his mother. And so he fired the Brahmastra. It's interesting. Previously, let me go back a little. He had previously fired the Brahmastra. 2 times he fired the Brahmastra. One time he fired at the Pandavas. And Krishna said, counteract, you fire your arrow, your Brahmastra to counteract the arrow of Ashwatthama. And so Arjuna fired his arrow, and there was what we call conflagration, because that's a big word for all of you. That means a big explosion, like an atomic bomb or something. Because these Brahmastra weapons, they actually had the ability to destroy the whole universe. Or they could be focused just on one tiny point. Robots are much better than atomic weapons nowadays. They could destroy it. But in this particular case, was threatening to destroy the whole universe. And so, therefore, Arjuna was asked to withdraw, and that's what he withdrew. And of course, there's some story, some of the versions of the Mahabharata have the Asavade actually protecting the two from hitting each other. And other versions don't have that particular story anyway. So in any case, then Ashwatthama, they got, they captured Ashwatthama and basically cut off his jewel and everything like that. But then Ashwatthama started to get more angry, and then he fired his final Brahmastra at Uttara's womb. And what happened is that Krishna came in and saved little Parikshit, who was in the womb. Of course, it wasn't known as Parikshit then, because he was called Parikshit after this occurrence, because Parikshit means someone who is examining all the time. So he was looking for the Supreme Personality of Godhead at every moment. And of course, that should be our mood too. Yomam pasati sarvatra sarvam jamai pasati tashamam napnashami sachamai napranashati. Because not only did Krishna save little Parikshit, but Krishna's Nityo Nityanam Chaitanam Eko Onam Govardhanatakama. Krishna's always protecting us and saving us too. Right? He's giving us intelligence in our heart. He's providing us with food. He's providing us with everything we need. So we should also be Parikshit. We should always be trying to see Krishna everywhere, in everything. In every atom, in everyone's heart. And in this way, and also especially in the Vaishnava's heart. Just like when we offer obeisances to each other, please accept my obeisances like that, we are actually offering obeisances to the body which is the temple of God. In other words, the God inside the temple. Each and every heart is like a temple. And some hearts are very filthy. Sometimes you find temples in India, they're very dirty, right? I remember sometimes we'd go to, in the earliest, we'd go to temples in India, and sometimes we touch the deities, they have a layer of dust on them. Really bad. So many temples are dirty. But we want to have a clean temple. Just like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed us when he was engaged in cleansing the Gundicha temple. I think you all know about the Gundicha Marjana. He was cleansing the Gundicha temple, and he cleansed it with his own hands. And he used his own cloth to clean the Singhasana, the throne of the deities. So in this way, He was showing us how important it is to cleanse the temple of the heart. One should be very attentive to get rid of all specks of dust. These are called the narcas. Kama, Krodha, Madhama, Sarya, Bodhibaya. If you're experiencing any what? Lust, anger, greed, illusion, envy, fear, then you should understand you got a lot of cleaning to do. Most of us, we try to put the dust under the rug. It's like you have nice things here. You just put all the dirt underneath and you don't notice it. So we should not do that. We should be aware of the dirt of the heart and cleanse it. Cheto dar paramamasham. Papa Mahadvatni Nirvapala Mushaya Kaivadi Chandrika Vikaranam Vijivadi Jivanam Anandam Mudivardhanam Pratipadam Pranamritasvadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Puram Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtan. So the method is by Sri Krishna Sankirtan. Anyway, getting back to the point. So Parikshit is looking for Krishna everywhere. But here he's not referred to as Parikshit. Now, why is that? Why Vishnu Rata instead of Parikshit? And you find everywhere there's different names for different personalities. It means something in terms of that particular verse. Like in the Bhagavad Gita, you have so many different names for Arjuna. Dhananjaya, collector of wealth. Gudakesh, conqueror of sleep. So many different names. Each name is used for a particular purpose. A psychological, not only psychological, but a purpose in terms of bhav. For those who don't know bhav, bhav means emotion. So here, that's actually quite interesting. Shukadeva Goswami, Shukadeva Goswami is called Badarayani. And so he is responding or mentioning or Maharaj Parikshit as Vishnu Rata. Why? Because Vishnu Rata means that Krishna who showed compassion. So by referring to him as this, it shows that Shukadeva Goswami is feeling in a compassionate mood and wanting to tell a story of compassion. It's interesting. It is mentioned by the Acharyas that when there is a listener and he's in a certain mood, the speaker reciprocates with that mood. Interesting. This is not my invention. This is stated by the Acharyas. For example, I mean, just even in a sense where we're out preaching Krishna consciousness, if someone is in a certain mood or a certain ability to understand, we preach in a certain way. We adjust the presentation according to the person. That's common sense. Actually, I was listening to a class given by Srila Prabhupada on the way here. It was quite interesting. We should always take advantage to hear as much as possible. So on the way here, half an hour, put my ear things in, and listen to class of Prabhupada. Prabhupada was talking about how in different situations or different cultures, love of God can be presented in different ways. So Prabhupada there was talking about rituals. And Prabhupada made the point, very interesting, that the essence of God consciousness, the essence of religion, the essence of Dharma is to love God. Like we find this verse in the Bhagavatam, probably quoted, but I'm going to quote it. Dharma Punsam Vishvaksena Kadasya Lokpadiye Vyadivratim Shama Eva Hi Kevalam. That even if one is doing all the rituals properly, and he's not developing a taste, it means love of God. That person. Vishwaksena Kalasana. Nobody ate it. Shrama Eva, he came along, he's wasting his time. So the essence of Krishna consciousness is not rituals. The rituals are there, they're good, but to help us focus on Krishna. Just like in the Hatha Yoga system, you have all these different what? Yam, asana, prajahara, asana, pariyam, prajahara, dharana, jhana, and samadhi. And then all these are meant to control the mind so you can focus on Krishna. That's the essence. The process is not the essence. There may be different processes at different times. Prabhupada even talked about this, and whether one is a Christian or Muslim or something, whatever, as long as you don't kill animals. Because as Bhagavatam says, if you're killing animals for shugnas, the 10th canto, then you'll never understand if you're a meathead or a fish head or a chicken head, then you'll never understand spiritual life. But Prabhupada said, it was very interesting. Prabhupada said the external rituals are not the important thing. The important thing is how much you're developing love with God. So when we speak, the point is, when we speak to people, that should be what we keep in mind. Not forcing them to do so many rituals that they may not be able to relate to. Sometimes we make Krishna consciousness so complicated that you need a PhD to take first initiation. Basically. This is like, oh my God. I mean, I've seen some temples, they make people wait 5-10 years for first initiation. One temple in Australia is like that. So, oh my God, you have to be a pure devotee before you take first initiation. So you make everything so complex. Deity worship is so complex. Everything is so complex. And then people can't join. People join because they want to connect with God, not because they want rituals. And rituals help them. Yeah, they can be accepted. Just like Prabhupada gave the example of the Hari Bhakti Vilas. Prabhupada said many of the rituals in the Hari Bhakti Vilas are not applicable in other places other than India. Because those rituals were there to attract what? The ritualistic Brahmins. If you can preach the ritualistic Brahmins, you better have a whole bunch of rituals to preach. Isn't it? Like if you have a ritualistic Brahmin who's really into, he takes 2 hours to do all the Sanjay performances. I've seen that. Not 2 hours, but I've seen people like a whole hour in the morning, an hour at noon, an hour in the evening. Then you better give him a whole bunch of rituals so he'll take Krishna consciousness seriously. But for most of us, the philosophy should be what we call the KISS philosophy. Keep it simple, silent. So anyway, so the main point I'm making here is the speaker reciprocates with the bhav, or the ability of the listener to understand. And so here we see that Shukadev Goswami is actually reciprocating with Parikshit Maharaj's desire to hear. The desire to hear about super compassionate activities. And this whole chapter, these 2 chapters, are about Krishna's compassionate relationship with Sudama Brahman, right? How Krishna is so compassionate that, of course, I don't want to give away the whole story. I think you all know it anyway. He's so compassionate that Sudama Brahman gives him practically nothing. And then he gets rewarded, with a mansion, with servants, and everything like that. And of course, that's not the goal. That's not why we should be doing Krishna consciousness. so that we want Krishna to reward us with a new car, a mansion, or something like that. We should be doing Krishna consciousness to understand that Krishna would give us unlimited mercy if we simply give everything to him. That's the point. Just like Bali Maharaj, he gave Krishna everything. Of course, for him, everything was what? The whole universe. And for us, everything may be $10, is a broken rice, or it may be $1 million. Krishna sees what? How much you are holding back rather than how much you give, right? So if you're a very rich man here and you give $1 million and you have $100 million, Krishna doesn't take it so seriously. And you can't even buy Krishna anyway. Even if you gave Krishna the whole $100 million, it won't impress Krishna. Won't impress. Just like Indra, he came down one time to attract Krishna with some apsaras. Apsaras are so attractive that in comparison, all you ladies would look like frogs. Sorry, I don't want to insult that here. Isn't it? And Narayan Rishis, that's Krishna in his incarnation, they just yawned. And then Krishna said, all right, if you're interested in young girls, he produced one from himself, and that was Urvasi. So Krishna's not impressed no matter what you give to him. Krishna wants your heart, he wants you to give everything, but he wants you to give it with love, to please him. You can give him everything and you don't give it with love, you're not going to get reciprocation from Krishna. You have to give it with love, to please him. Okay, and that's Krishna consciousness. So, here we find a very interesting exchange between Parikshit Maharaj and Shukadeva Goswami, that Shukadeva Goswami has become overcome with compassion because of the questioning of Parikshit Maharaj. So you see, there's that relationship. In preaching, there's always that relationship. So any questions or comments? Keep it short. Questions, comments? As we argue, is that a question?
As you mentioned beautifully, Aswatthama released the Brahmas, so Arjuna also. But I read other Puranas, it says that Vedas and Narati need to be
Yeah,
pulling back.
there's different stories. Yeah.
But Arjuna pulled it back. Aswatthama couldn't.
Yeah. He didn't know the mantras for pulling it back.
So he was told to redirect it to somewhere on the barren land.
Yeah, there's several different versions of the story. One is, the first time it was pulled back, then the second time it was redirected. Krishna told him to redirect. There's that, like I said, you go about this Purana or that Purana or the Mahabharata. There's so many different versions of the story. Like if you read one of the Mahabharats, let's give you an example. If you read one of the Mahabharats, it says that Parashara Muni and Satyavati had a regular marriage. They had a regular Vivaha Yajna. Another Mahabharata, then they were on the boat, and there was a kid, Krishna's wife, and Vyasa was born, so. Whatever. I made that reference in the class that there's different versions of the story. Actually, Sripad Madhvacharya in his Tatparatra Nirnaya said the Mahabharata's been corrupted. Did you ever read that book? You should read it. It's very interesting. Tatparatra Nirnaya. It's a book by Madhvacharya. And it's interesting how he talks about the Mahabharata. He also tells stories that are not there in the Mahabharata. Because it's interesting, each and every author has his own point of view. So Madhvacharya portrays Bhimsen as the main hero in the Mahabharata. Why? Because Bhimsen is what? His brother, Ratashri. So, anyway, so the main story is there in all the Mahabharats. And the main story, the Bhagavatam and the Puranas and the Bhagavatam. We accept the Bhagavatam stories as more authentic than the Puranas. Because most of the Puranas have been tampered with. Because they haven't been passed down in simple succession. So the only part of the Puranas I actually accept are the ones given to us by our acharyas. And in many devotees they talk about this Bhavishya Purana, this will happen, that will happen. And basically, at least according to the historians, that's a more recent text. So, sometimes you can have things, you say, this is a prediction, and you're giving a prediction after the thing happens. So therefore, what is it? We accept things in some Sampradaya. That's why it's very important for me to accept things given by Prabhupada, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, Sanatana Goswami, etc. I mean, even the point I made about Shukadeva Goswami reciprocating with Parikshit Maharaj in Parikshit Maharaj's mood is right in the commentary of the Acharyas. I mean, I can read that. I wouldn't just make it up. The commentary of the Acharyas, I'll read Sanatana Goswami's commentary so you can see. Parikshit was given to the Pandavas Vishnuratena after being protected by the Lord in Uttara's room from the Brahmastra. It was the Lord's object of great mercy. Shukadeva was questioned by Parikshit with humility and propriety, Samprishta. But by the special ras of the listener, the speaker also develops such ras. Very interesting. Very interesting. So in other words, everything I said in class is actually, because when I read a verse, I also read the Acharyas, especially in the 10th canto where you don't have the commentaries, or the commentaries given by Prabhupada's disciples, and they're very short. By the special ras of the listener, the speaker also develops such ras. Wow. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? And actually in the books of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, especially Jaiva Dharma, we find the description, there's two devotees, one is in the conjugal ras, and the other one is in the sakya, or the friendship ras. And the guru appears differently to each one. It's interesting, isn't it? How one sees one's guru. And this is a very high platform, it's not for any of you. But don't worry.
The guru facilitates you.
Yeah, you see the guru in the same ras you happen to be in, but don't worry. You're all in the material ras right now. So don't see that. So
It says that the guru, because guru is the most topmost rasa.
yes.
So all these rasas are already there.
Yeah, so therefore the disciple who happens to be in that ras sees it. But one has to be very careful. One shouldn't speculate about the ras or the rati of the guru. So anyway, so this is very interesting. This what the acharyas say.
But sometimes I mean, this is how I perceive. I don't know that the same Brahmas was redirected to Buddha's, just like Lord Ramachandra, when the Sagar was not there, and he tried it, but when he apologized, he redirected.
Redirected, yeah. I mean, there's that story too. And here's more from what the acharyas say. Shukadeva knew that sweet topics corresponding to the arousal above in the listeners. These topics do not depend on a particular time. According to the mood of the questioners, an arousal of ras, the speaker narrates. Really wonderful. So, anyway, so it's time for us to go. Thank you very much. All glories to His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai.